right, and we are into the draft for the second match between Sam Houston State University versus 5MA. The graphic bug is a little bit wrong. It is not Sam Houston White, it is Sam Houston Orange, so apologies for that. We will try and get that fixed as soon as possible. A lot to talk about from that first game. 5MA coming out of the gate swinging. Phenomenal performances from top and bot. Just absolutely delivering where they need to. The Cyrix having a phenomenal game on the Mordekaiser, and Maidenless absolutely delivering on that Lucian, making the most of that early game champion. You're starting to see, again, some interesting bans there. So, again, a denial of that Tom Kenji, even there on the red side, away from iLucky and away from Melancholy, so denying that split pick there. Adopting the Hecarim ban, though, and taking the Udyr as well, as they're going to get locked in there for Sam Houston, so starting to think that that's likely to go into the hands of Style. That has been his comfort pick over the last several weeks, and not a champion that we see him get a lot. Made it through the draft in the last game, so interested to see him not get his hands on that one, but will pilot it this round. Volibear going to get locked in there for Cyrix, Nami as well, so a little bit of a split decision-making there in terms of selection is going to be answered by the Zyra. Interesting setup there. So you have a lot of poke and a lot of CC setup with Zyra and good late game damage as well as early game damage. To be honest with you, Zyra is kind of an all-around, well-rounded pick. Not necessarily the most survivable champion, not necessarily a champion that we're known for being a frontliner, but does have a lot of options, does have a lot of ways and a lot of utility with which to affect the map and the game with. So it's going to be the Lucian pickup there again, though, for Maidenless, though. It's just going to be a swap of support, so Nami going there with that one. And a pretty good pairing there as well. Nami Lucian still a preferred duo. That is one of the best champions to pair with that. Is the Victor lock in there going to be for OT6. Escargol going to lock in the Ashe, so looking for some more CC, looking for some more safety. Not necessarily going to be a late game damage threat, but is going to be a champion with a lot of utility and a lot of ways in which they can set it up. I do like the Trundle pick there in addition with that too. So a lot of setup. You can set up a pillar behind somebody, either force them to flash or punish the lack of a flash and then pillar on top of, Crystal Arrow on top of it, making it a phenomenally good combo. Is Gnar going to be the final lock in there? Ooh, so some very, very interesting selections in both of these drafts. A lot of good team fighting, a lot of good scaling for both of these teams. Draft-wise, I find 5MA's draft a little bit interesting because Gnar, while also being this sort of tank bruiser champion, does have quite a bit of agency with which to play in that top lane. Right, this is a champion that's known for being fairly oppressive, with having a little bit of that range advantage, and then obviously being a phenomenal team fighter with a lot of HP and a lot of ways with which to stun and set up other members of a squad. And if you're looking at what that Gnar is going to set up here on the side of this 5MA squad, you're looking at Victor Lucian and Volibear on top of it. So good front line, good engage, a lot of point-and-click CC, a lot of lockdown, and fantastic late-game scaling for the majority of his members, even Lucian, as we saw in that late game. And Sam Houston, they have themselves a skirmishing-style comp here, make no doubt about it. I mean, Set as a champion that we've been seeing a lot less just because of the nerfs that it has been hit with for so long now, just patch after patch. It seems like it's been adjusted down. So this is a champion that struggles a lot more in the early game and doesn't have necessarily great late game scaling like it used to. This is a champion, though, that still is a little bit of a lane bully, though, so it does have some favorable trades. I just don't favor it into the Gnar. I mean, if you're looking realistically, how does the set kind of lock down that Gnar, both trying to have an answer for the jump and, trying to survive that range matchup that Gnar is going to have? It does seem like that Gnar should just be bullying the set at the top lane, so likely that set just being taken to absorb some of that pressure, like we saw in that last game, like he tried to do with iLucky. Just trying to draw some of those members away from 5MA, but coordinating those ganks allowed them to put him in the death chamber repeatedly, and we did see the Sam Houston top laner struggle repeatedly to try and have some effect on the map. Did have some decent late game fights, was able to pick up a couple of kills in the late game playing that Ornn, but this set is not going to have the same kind of effect. It's not even going to be providing any necessarily great team setup in terms of items and ults and things like that. You are relying on a set ulti to combo into a Trundle Pillar or a kill there. I mean, you're waiting for Zeri to come online, which I think is the one way that Sam Houston is going to actually win this game, is getting the Zeri ahead. This is a champion that is impressive even in the bot lane, but then when you give it extra items and you put it in the solo lane and it gets accelerated farm and accelerated experience gain, then it becomes a champion that's very difficult to lock down, not only because it's melee, because of its mobility, but because of the damage profile that it builds, building that Titanic Hydra, building the Trinity Force. a huge amount of damage coming out of one single source, and it's almost impossible to take a fight against a late game Zeri unless you have something like a Jinx on the other side, which of course this 5MA squad does not. Then, you know, looking down the line too in this bot lane matchup between Ashe and Zyra versus the Lucian Nami, I mean, you have to feel like the Lucian Nami is the better lane here. Zyra obviously does have some good poke, does have some good setup, but this is an ultimate that these 5MA squad members can play around. They can absorb the damage and maybe not even get hit by the Zyra ulti, in all honesty, unless it's set up with something like an Ashe arrow, unless it's set up something with, you know, like a Trundle Pillar, or even a set ult on top of that. But most importantly, really for Sam Houston, they don't have a lot of great ways to start this fight off. I mean, if you're just counting the CC abilities across the squad, you're looking at nothing but skill shots with the exception of the set ultimate. You're looking at Ashe Crystal Arrow, you're looking at Zyra Roots, you're looking at maybe a Trundle Pillar slowing someone down, or set managing to land a grab somewhere on multiple members. But beyond that, not reliable ways to set up team fights. Whereas if you look at this 5MA squad, you've got Gnar, you've got Volibear, Victor, Nami, a lot of good ways which to set up very easy team fights. And it is time. We are onto the rift for Game 2 between Sam Houston State Esports Orange and the Five Monkeys Academy. 5MA, they are up one game in this series, and they are looking to put a stop to Sam Houston's unbroken winning spree right now and get on the board themselves. And they are halfway there. One more game would do it in this best of 3. As we're seeing both of these squads run out onto the rift. As we're seeing them set up in these 5-man points here across the river. Much different draft here for both of these teams. Much different win conditions for 5MA. It did feel like in that last game it was a lot about the early game snowballing. A lot about getting Lucian involved, a lot about getting the Mordekaiser ahead, and ultimately just taking those leads and making the most of them. And they absolutely performed on that comp, absolutely performed on those win conditions, bringing Thatan everywhere that he needed to be with that Volibear, making the most of their dive comp. The Akshan was pivotal in setting up some of those team fights, and they're going to be trying to do the same thing here. Arguably, they have more tools than they had the last game with which to do that. If you're looking across the board of this squad, Gnar, Volibear, Victor, Lucian, I mean, it is a tremendous amount of team fighting, and it is a lot of damage that Sam Houston are going to have to try and survive here. And if you're looking at the tools at which Sam Houston has to kick off this fight, they're not necessarily reliable. So it is going to be about execution. It is going to be about how well they can perform individually. As Maidenless and Humble sitting here on the ward, so Sam Houston are going to know they're there, likely going to take a different route, not through that tri-bush, instead going to come through the lane more than likely. Grey Shadow going to go ahead and start this one off. It's nice having plants soak damage for you when you're a Trundle. Get you a little bit of a faster start. It is going to be parallel jungling here, though. So jungler's going on opposite sides of the town, making his way towards that bot lane, like he's going to do a full topside clear here. And Shadow just going to immediately run up to try and get those 3 camps in the top lane and possibly look to affect this matchup if he can. Lucky struggled early against Syrinx on that Mordekaiser. Now, obviously, Mordekaiser is going to be a little bit of a different champion in terms of early game pressure than it is going to be with Gnar, but the overall theory in terms of how you play those champions is actually pretty similar, just with the way that the passive works for Mordekaiser being just traded off for range advantage and boomerangs there for the Gnar. And obviously with Gnar having Rage Bar too, again, an easier to pilot champion, not having to worry about mana resources, not worrying about what state you're going to be in when a jungler comes to your lane in terms of, you know, do I have enough mana to use an ability? Have I overextended? Set also going to be in that similar camp though as well, again working off of energy though. The main point for Syrinx is just going to be managing that Rage Bar in these team fights and making sure that when he does go into Mega Gnar that they do have the ability to start off that team fight when he does go in. Because, you know, once it times out, obviously you're a little bit less afraid of Gnar. But Gnar being able to go into that Mega early is a pretty sweet thing for Syrinx. He's going to be less concerned about the stars. He's going to get grabbed in, going to get punched a couple of times. Conqueror not going to proc there, though, for Lucky. Facebreaker going to come out. He's going to tick over to 3. So Gnar just going to be happy to continue absorbing that pressure. Is able to farm at range. Grey Shadow is here. This is going to be the flash out immediately from Ot6, who had to respect the Trundle. And that point of contention that we talked about, exactly how Sam Houston want to set up ganks, want to set up fights. That's how you do it. Setting that Trundle Pillar behind somebody, forcing them to respect Flash, forcing them to blow summoners in order to survive it. Now, point 6 was not caught really too far in the lane, so wasn't too bad off, as Thatan just going to get spotted out here. And just forced away from it as point 6 to continue to farm underneath the turret. But one of the things that I think we can expect to see repeatedly is Grey Shadow trying to affect the lanes like that and possibly look to make another repeat gank here in the mid lane. Because now that that summoner is down, it is going to be a little bit easier to try and get on top of that Victor. But with 0.6 still, staying fairly close to his turret and still being able to farm, at range and having plenty of mana, it is still going to be difficult to repeat gank him if he doesn't push it much more forward. And that is, I think, what you're waiting for Sam Houston. I think that is a lot of what they're dependent on, is someone kind of overextending, because it does feel like if there is vision, if there are people roaming to kind of spot out the jungler, if people are being proactive, and if they aren't repeatedly ganking and getting these kills, it just does feel like it's going to be difficult for Sam Houston to just continue to kill members of this 5MA squad. So really look to see Grey Shadow try and affect this lane again and get down there sooner rather than later. As bot lane skirmishing here. Maitland going to get rooted up. It's going to drop below half. Esco may decide he wants this. He is going to be able to get it. No, first blood. It goes to Maitland. Survived to the end. It is going to be a 1-for-1 trade, though. So ADC for ADC. Grey Shadow is here, though. He's going to be able to get anything done. Lucky. He's got the speed. He is going to miss the grab. Not going to be able to land Facebreaker in combo with that, so he's just going to throw it after the fact. Style. Does he want to stop the back here? He does, but does lose a little bit of health for doing so. Odd6 low on mana, though. Style may decide he wants this. Only has the exhaust, though, so no combat summoner with which to punish Odd6 for staying in that lane. But 1-for-1 trade in the early game still going to mean that Sam Houston are okay. Because it does feel like if Maidenless does get that kill and gets away, it's just, you start to see a repeat of what we saw in the first game, where he starts to get ahead on this Lucian, and then you start to see, this low effect Ashe that is going to take some time to come online, get pushed out of this lane even earlier, and start to struggle. And so very, very important for Eshkagol to pick up that kill, and so does stay even. Obviously, First Blood Gold going to feel pretty good on the Lucian, so not necessarily traded back in its entirety, but it is still going to be Noon Quiver for both of those ADCs. Syrix going to tick over to Meganar. Does have the 6, though, now, so Ilucky is going to have to back all the way off. The risk getting bursted down there. Again, just difficult for Set to take early game trades. Maiden's going to jump in here again, too. Melancholy does not have Flash. Not taking away right now, though. Eshkagol, can he trade? Maidenless not going to drop again yet, though. One auto attack does it. And Eshkagol, he's got 2 on the board. Humble, he's here, though. Can he survive it? Eshkagol trying to jump forward, gets the root. He's got a double kill. Can he get a triple? He's going to try and run Humble down. It's going to get the slow, gets the W. A couple more autos would do it. Ticking away. One more tick. Has the speed up. Has a little bit of health. One more auto. Eshkagol, he gets it. He avoids it. Triple kill for the Sam Houston bot laner. And an absolutely pivotal response there from Sam Houston. Eshkagol, just as we were talking about, making sure to make the most of that opportunity and going even. One upset, he gets 3 more kills. Didn't have the summoner, was flashless, but didn't even need it. Just turned that right around. Managed to survive for so long. Melancholy doing such a great job to peel for her ADC, making sure that Eshkagol didn't drop. Maidenless here, though, just going to poke Eshkagol out. The minion going to drop and going to crash into the turret. So denial of some experience and some money away from the FMA bot laner. And Sam Houston, that's what they needed to try and get some spirit and honestly try and get some momentum in their corner, because that's a huge thing in a series when you start losing some early game trades. You've come off of a pretty decisive loss in a first game. As it's going to be flash roll from Ilucky. Now Syrix does still have Flash here and does have the double jump, so he's going to be able to get out of this. No ultimate here for Grey Shadow, but forced to blow the summoner. No Meganar with which to stay in that fight if he wanted to, so it was forced to get out of there. So great response by Sam Houston. Now Odd6, he does have ultimate style. He's going to be ticking underneath this. He's going to blow the ultimate himself. Can he get it? Exhaust down for Odd6, but he's ticking. The Tan is here. Flash out from Style. Can he get away? Sam Houston members there running. Trundle's on the way, and so is Set. And FMA, they're going to choose to peel off of that one. Decided they didn't want to chase that any further. Didn't fancy a fight with a Set and a Trundle. So Style manages to live there and is going to come back fairly healthy after eating those fruits. So was forced to burn the Flash and the Exhaust, though. So will not have those summoners for a couple minutes. Specifically, that Flash, it's going to be about another 4 minutes before it comes back online. But the full commit there from Style to try and get the Victor, though, is Crystal Air going to come out. It's going to be Maidenless stunned up. Going to get out double ultimate there for both of the Sam Houston bot laners. And the Ton and Grey Shadow, they're going to meet here. They both have ultimate. You have to favor the Trundle in this one, though, because he steals health. But his own pillar stops him from getting back on top. Tried to lock the Tan in, but was able to jump over it. So gets out, forced to blow the ultimate. Was traded back to for Grey Shadow. Those ultimates matter a little bit less. The Flash on the Tan will matter a whole lot, though. Or sorry, not having a Flash will matter a whole lot on the Tan. As Syrix going to jump in here. It's going to get thrown into the wall. Can this be the solo kill? Ilucky trying to survive this, trying to get the face breaker. pops the Iron Spike whip for health, but dies in the end. Syrinx gets the solo kill, continuing to dominate in this top lane matchup. And sorry, a correction on that last fight. I thought that Titan had flashed out, but it was actually just the ultimate. Didn't need the flash to clear it. That ability was on cooldown, so actually didn't need it. But Grey Shadow's still going to have access to his flash first, so can make another play if he wants to. Ultimate almost about halfway on cooldown now, so could look to affect his bot lane if he wants to. Ultimate coming up off of Escargot and Melancholy here soon. And Melancholy not quite able to land that ultimate on top of both members of the FMA squad. And again, we talked about that mobility, being able to get out of that, and being a pivotal factor in why Sam Houston were not going to be able necessarily to use their ultimates to lock both these members down. Even through the Crystal Arrow, just wasn't enough. But it does feel like once you add a jungler to this mix, though, the Sam Houston bot lane has a little bit more firepower, has a lot more setup. So again, just look to see them try and recreate what they did just a couple of minutes ago in terms of landing that combo and try and draw the jungler down, try and get Grey Shadow involved. No dragon taken yet. No attempt by either of these junglers yet. Just not willing to risk giving up on that objective for an early fight. Maidenless and Humble taking over 6. And now Sam Houston. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, the dragon was taken. Again, another screen bug here as it's updated for me. So that mountain dragon actually going the way of FMA. I guess that was taken in the interim. So a nice early dragon to have for them, but Sam Houston likely going to be looking to respond here on their own. A ward down on Herald. No attempt to play for it yet. 10-minute mark. They have a couple more minutes to make this happen. It is going to get rid of. Maidenless going to get out. Crystal Arrow, no. Stunned up, though. Might just be enough. Maiden ticking. It is going to be a 1-for-1, but Escargot, he's going to run this down. Humble, you're not safe underneath that turret, or maybe he is. Humble going to get away out of that one. A trade for ADC and support. Sam Houston going to be happy with that one. Just keeping this Lucian down as much as they can. This is not the same Lucian that was here in the last game. Style jumping forward, no flash, doesn't have the exhaust. He's going to get ulted up. He's going to blow the ultimate itself, but it's just not going to be enough. It's going to be one more attack, and the Geek goes down. 0.6 going to be on the board with that one. First kill of the game. Style just pressing too far forward. No vision of where Titan was on that volley bear. So just gets caught out with no flash, no exhaust, no reason to push up that far. This Grey Shadow going to get chased out here. Ward going to spot him out as well. Now, Melancholy is here. They could look to contest this. It is a 3-on-3. No ultimate available for the Zyra. No ultimate available from Escargot to try and do a long-range Ash Arrow. Syrinx not quite held up on the Nodbarn. He's going to get stolen. Grey Shadow walks away from it. But can he walk away from the fight? Titan trying to get on top of it. It's going to be a set ultimate on top of it. Grey Shadow is going to get slain. But what Sam Houston have got is their Herald, but it cost them a couple of kills, 2 in the end. Melancholy manages to get away. Excellent steal away from Grey Shadow. But it cost them in gold, it cost them in time, and it costs them their lives. Sam Houston, a good denial away from the FMA squad, though, so that is something that they have in their back pocket. Grey Shadow managed to pick that one up. Phenomenal steal there by the Sam Houston jungler, so that gives them something with which to play around, but is going to be traded back by a little bit of turret gold here going down on these turrets in the top lane, and then just pressure everywhere else on the map. Dragon coming up in 9 seconds. Grey Shadow can look to try and make a Herald play either bot or mid lane. You can look to force the Titan maybe to answer that, or maybe force the Victor who's teleporting in that mid lane to respond to it. It's the Titan just trying to push his way in here, trying to get a little bit of vision. This game nearly dead even. The gold really not going to matter all that much right now. Style trying to jump forward is at a level disadvantage though. And that Victor possibly a little bit stronger right now, both with the completed boots and the blasting one. The lost chapter as well, so not necessarily a trade that they're going to win. And Grey Shadow is going to opt to place that Herald down in the mid lane, so that is going to draw at least one member of this FMA squad who will have to respond. And Humble just trying to wait, is going to have to flash out, barely manages to dodge the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and retreats to the safety of the Lucian. The Herald has been answered in the bot lane. Style, not necessarily caught out right here, is going to blow the ultimate. Exhaust going down on top of it, but still at a level disadvantage. Not enough damage to do anything right now. It's a fight on multiple front. The Dragon goes down, but Sam Houston have to get their way out of here. Style retreating underneath the turret. Grey Shadow, he's going to have Pillar here soon. Gets bubbled up. Humble lives to fight another day and still fairly healthy. No one drops in the fight. Low health bars there for Style, who was forced to retreat underneath the mid lane turret. Dragon goes over to Sam Houston, as well as some of that turret gold off of the plates. But in the meantime, Syrinx in that top lane continuing to put pressure on iLucky. maintaining that gold advantage, maintaining the CS difference, and continuing to be a thorn in the Sam Houston side, not allowing iLucky to maybe roam, try and get involved in some of these team fights. And this Gnar just becoming obnoxious now, too, with the the Hull Breaker. So he's absolutely going to warrant responses. It's now a 2-level lead here for Sirix. Because iLucky just trying to get what he can underneath that turret. Continuing to struggle in this top lane matchup. Style is one hit. If he stepped up too far, Victor, one more laser would do it. The tank can even die this if he wanted to. Is going to get pillared away, though. Blast cone over. So Style, seeing that, is going to be forced to back all the way off or risk getting dove. Doesn't want to die. Doesn't want to give anything over if they don't have to. And iLucky just going to eat an ice block to the face. Sirix unrelenting in this top lane matchup. Unchallenged so far. Not going to start to tick away there. But this is a constant pressure point that Sam Houston is going to have to respond to throughout the entirety of this game, because this Gnar only gets stronger as the game goes on. Only becomes more tankier, only becomes more obnoxious to deal with. And with Hull Breaker in inventory, he's going to start to shred some of these turrets. First one going down, first one of the game. So first neutral structure going to fall there for Sam Houston. Now this gives FMA freedom to roam across the map. This gives them the ability to continue to press into Sam Houston's jungle, get vision, and get more information. There's just nobody trying to go up there and stop Sirix right now. Grey Shadow trying to steal away with a blue buff. Does have the smite. Is going to steal it away in the end. Is going to get the ulti out from Umbo. Spiller's going to come down. Jenna Crystal Arrow. This is the fight Sam Houston needs. It to teleport out for Gnar. They got to get out of this one. It's a 4-man ultimate from Thatan. But does he live? No, he's going to drop. Styles going to pick that one up. Sirix is here, but no Gnar bar yet. No Gnar bar yet. It comes 2 into the wall. And Grey Shadow's going to fall. Sam Houston, they picked the fight, but they're going to drop. It's 3 kills for FMA. And the Sam Houston, they've got to get out of here because they're going to drop. They're going to give over more gold if they don't. Style trying to see what he can do. Maidenless jumping forward. Can he get a Style? Trade back in one flash shot from Maiden. Style. One more auto would do it. No! Sirix going to pick that one up as well. It's 4 dead at the end for Sam Houston FMA. Fantastic response there. And Grey Shadow, was it worth it? Yes, you get the blue buff, but you trade it over. You don't have vision on Sirix. You know he has teleport. You know that the set can't respond to that. Instantly, you know that the Gnar is going to be stronger, but still opted to take the team fight. Wasn't able to knock down Thatan fast enough. Fantastic setup there from the FMA jungler to get onto multiple members of that Sam Houston squad. Buy time for the damage threats on his squad to get there. Great follow-up there. The ultimate's well placed there from Sam Houston, and just it almost felt like a desperation play. Like they felt like they had to get this blue buff, but it's such a rough spot to find him because you're funneling exactly where this FMA squad wants you to go into. You're funneling yourself into Nami ult. You're funneling yourself into Illusion Cole. Victor right around the corner. Volibear on top of it. You know, yes, you do end up getting, 1 kill out of it and, the blue buff, but it's not enough. Grey Shadow not able to live through that damage even despite the ultimate. So ultimately, a big loss there for Sam Houston off of a gain of relatively nothing. And it's going to be the gold lead firmly in FMA's hand, 5MA's hand. And Sirix just continuing to pressure all across this lane, all across the map, and this Gnar is an absolute monster right now. Has the completed Divine Sunderer, has the completed Hull Breaker, so it will necessitate multiple members of this Sam Houston squad coming to answer this, to come and deal with this Gnar, who has double buffs right now, so you can't go deal with him now. So Sam Houston, what is your way back into this game? Because your only way to get this was to shut down some of the damage that carries and try and get the kills onto Style, try and get the Zeri into a spot where it can become this monster, but at 1-2-1 with only one item, it's not even going to be able to kill the Gnar right now. Like, the Gnar does more damage than this one item Zeri. Now, admittedly, it is a huge difference between 4 kills and only 1, and obviously double completed items for this Gnar is going to feel good, but the most important part is not even necessarily the item, it's the levels that this Gnar is going to have, that he can continue to bash the Sam Houston squad over the head with now. And in the interim, while that was going down, the Herald going to get summoned up here in the mid lane, so that turret's going to fall as well. So 5MA, they have the absolute run of this map right now. They can go wherever they want to. Thatan looking to see if he can start something up. It's going to be the teleport here from iLucky. Sam Houston Not going to be able to survive that one, though. iLucky, can he get away from this? Sam Houston, they're dropping already. iLucky, it's not enough. He doesn't have enough health. Sirix is on the back line. It's a follow-up by Maiden, and it's a triple kill for Thatan. Style running for the hills. He's only got a little bit of health left. Jumps over the wall, but it's just not enough. Is going to be forced to watch the squad fall in a lightning-fast team fight that came out there from the 5MA squad. They pulled the trigger on that one. They didn't care about iLucky teleporting in that one. They said, we'll take that fight. Your set can't match our Gnar. And they're going to get the second dragon of the game. And right now, they have an unassailable lead in this game. About a 4K gold lead for them. Sam Houston, they're going to continue to struggle to get back in this game. Grey Shadow going to pillar off Humble. Going to try and survive this. Thatan waiting in the wings is going to get bubbled up. And Thatan, can he get this kill? Smite coming down. Grey Shadow trying to trade it. Doesn't have ultimate right now. The Great Crystal Arrow. Sorry, Crystal Arrow going to hit on top of Thatan. It's a shutdown, Sam Houston. Just as I was praising 5MA for their gameplay thus far, a little bit of a mistake there. An overcommit there by Thatan. Should have just looked to peel, but tries to take the fight in to the Sam Houston jungler. Ends up paying with his life. And that might just give Sam Houston enough of a needed respite to try and trade to get this turret. This one of the mid lane's going to go down. They're going to collect the bonus objective gold there. That's going to be huge for them. And that Baron objective gold is another objective that they're going to look to try and get. If they can take a favorable team fight, maybe just pick one or two of these members, try and commit to knock out the Gnar, knock out the Victor. They could look to take this Baron to get its gold, but that is entirely dependent on them getting 1 to 2 picks on multiple members of this 5MA squad. Most importantly, it has to be the Victor. It has to be that Gnar, because you cannot take an objective with either of those members up. You cannot take it in the face of a Victor who is shelling damage over the wall. You cannot take it into a Gnar who will have Rage Bar and be able to team fight you. And as strong as he is right now, you're seeing the Warden's Mail come out there. So Sirix, he knows how important he's going to be for these team fights. He knows exactly what his job is, and that's to set up to continue being this obnoxious side lane threat, to continue to scale, to continue to be the team fighting really force here for this 5MA squad. And so that Warden's Mail going to give him a little bit more survivability into this Trundle, into this set, into the Zeri. Give him the ability to last longer in these fights. And Sam Houston, it does definitely now feel like that they are on kind of the last legs of this series right now, because 5MA have just responded to everything that Sam Houston has wanted to do. Obviously, the game is not over yet, and a game is never really over until the Nexus explodes. You start looking at the ways that Sam Houston can win this one, it's going to be very difficult, because you don't even necessarily win in the scaling game. Just with the Victor, they're on the side of that 5MA squad, and with Gnar, who becomes an obnoxious late game threat, even more obnoxious than he is right now. I mean, iLucky can't even clear the ward. He just knows he's not safe to step up that far, or would get CC'd up, would get run down by Sirix. And this Gnar feels like even without the Rage Bar, he's just a dangerous champion to get too close to. Would get run down with the extended autos and with the boomerang. So anybody that isn't Grey Shadow or iLucky cannot really step up too far to that Gnar. Definitely, the other thing that I think is kind of prevalent in this game right now too is the fact that it does not feel like this 5MA squad is on a timer. It definitely feels like even if the game goes late, they have a number of ways in which they can win the game. So even if Style does start to get some kills, does start to get some items, it's not necessarily the end of the world. So you can be patient if you're this 5MA squad. You can continue to just set up around neutral objectives, look to force team fights, look to continue forcing trades, unfavorable trades onto the Sam Houston squad where they have to make bad decisions. Do you want to give up a Baron in exchange to try and get a Dragon to prevent yourself from giving over, Dragon Point? Do you just try and take the Baron to get yourself some pressure on the map? Do you even contest any of those things? Do you just say, okay, we're just going to turtle mode and wait for the hyper late game where we think this Zeri can win and where we think that Style can carry this game? It's a lot of questions that Sam Houston are going to have to answer really, really quickly here, because Baron is up right now. Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute's time. So one way or the other, they're going to have to decide which devil they prefer. Right now, itemization-wise for this 5MA squad, they are much farther ahead than the Sam Houston members. It's 2 items there for the top laner, 2 items in the jungle, 2 items for that Victor, who does have that Medjai's 10 stack. So it just feels like, that he does have the confidence that he's going to continue to win these team fights, has the confidence he's not going to die, and continue to pick up kills on these Sam Houston members. Lucian, Gale Force, Essence Reaver, you know, the Moonstone Renewer there for the Nami. No 2 items yet there, but cutting down on some of the healing that some of these members from Sam Houston specifically, cutting down on the healing that Grey Shadow's going to try to do, having that Oblivion Morb in pocket. Sam Houston, they're not first to this right now. 5MA have been set up here for some time. Nar's going to continue to pressure in the mid lane. Did just time out on the Gnar bar, though. That will not be available for this Dragon fight unless he starts to stack it up right now. Hawkshot going to spot out the remaining members of that 5MA's team. And again, Gnar, no rage bar. So Sam Houston, this is the best time they can take a fight. They must go now. They must find a way to get onto the members of this 5MA squad, because if Gnar continues to have time in that mid lane, continue to shove up that wave, they're going to lose priority, and he's going to have Gnar bar, and this fight's going to go, and he has it stacked up. Syrinx, he's looking, trying to get in. They're trying to turn on Syrinx. Can they get him? He's going to chop over. The jungler's going to get thrown into the wall, and now they have the follow-up. He's going to get stunned up. It's another ultimate on top of it. Syrinx is going to go unstoppable. Humble drops in the back line. Styles going to pick that one up, but it's another kill going over for this 5MA squad. What else can they get? Lucky, he's going to drop. It's a double kill. Syrinx, he's untouched, but Escrigal, he's getting it done. He's making it happen. He picks up the kill on the Lucian, and Sam Houston, it's a 3-4-2 in the end, but low health bars on this 5MA squad. Odd 6, he can't step close. Escrigal, no ultimates left with which to peel this Sam Houston ADC. Can they get this? No jungler for Sam Houston. No smite with which to get this. Tatan, does he want to step this up? They only need 2. Escrigal untouched to the back line. Gnar right behind him. He has full Gnar bar. They may have been cut out. It's going to get rooted up. It's going to go into it. It's going to get thrown in, stunned up, and it's dead for the Sam Houston ADC. It's death and even more death. Melancholy trying to get out is going to live with just a sliver of health. Shielding coming out there for Odd 6. They're going to protect him. And 5MA, they're going to get the dragon. They're going to get that pressure. And it looked like there for a moment that Sam Houston was going to be able to get something, but even when they managed to pick up a couple of the carries there for the 5MA squad, they were still down a man. And Escrigal and Melancholy just trying to harass the jungler and the mid laner there for this 5MA squad. Just not able to do it, though. Gnar just retreated off to that mid lane, built up Gnar bar again, and then came back. So it does feel like maybe they should have just left that one. It's not likely you're going to be able to steal it. I mean, you don't have smite, so you can't steal it from Tatan if he doesn't mess it up. So you really are just waiting for a mistake there, and you are just betting that Syrinx wasn't going to come, respond to that, but he did, and Grey Shadow may have caught out the Tan here, though. He's going to get rooted up. No ultimate. The tip just now comes at the last second, but it's far too late. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes wide, but not even needed. And now Sam Houston, they're hitting the go button. They have decided they want to try and take this Baron right now. Teleport available for Syrinx. A ward in the pit. Sam Houston, they need to clear that ward. If they don't, it might be a teleport from Syrinx. They're not even going to be able to finish it off enough. Syrinx is going to go legendary. Now he has the ability to teleport into the Baron pit if he wants to, but so far he's not, because Humble and Odd 6, they've decided they've got it. It's going to be Lucky getting stunned up. An objective has been claimed, but what's it going to cost him? Odd 6, he's going to go into the stasis. How long can he live? Can't live for very long, though, but it's enough to kill Style. Grey Shadow, he's going to trade it back. They get Baron to the end, but now their escape route's been cut off because Maidenless, he's here, and he's not Maidenless because he's going to start collecting a couple of himself. Lucky's going to drop it. He's going to go after Melancholy. Double kill for the 5MA bot laner. And a split call by Sam Houston. They didn't have all 5 members there. And Syrinx, he didn't even need to teleport for that one. 5MA just said, we will take that. You can have the Baron because you're not going to escape from it. They wrapped around that Sam Houston squad and made the call to prevent them from escaping from the pit, even though they lose the objective at the end. Yes, it is that objective gold going into the hands of the Sam Houston members, but at what cost? You may have just cost yourself the game off of that play. There's no reason to take it. Yes, you did kill Tatan, but you don't know where the rest of the members are of this 5MA squad. You know that the victor is still up. You know that there's a lot of damage still there on that 5MA squad, so the call to stay there, I think, and they weren't able to burst it down fast enough. If they had been able to take that within the first couple of seconds of starting it, if it had only been, a 10, 15 second Baron, then maybe you could have seen it, but it just didn't go down fast enough. And again, I keep saying this, but the lack of teleport there from Syrinx, that shows how far this squad is in this game right now, how far this 5MA team is right now. They didn't even need one of their best team fighting components to teleport into that fight. And now Sam Houston, they're going to have to start to try and dig themselves out of this one any way they can. Yes, they have the Baron, but that is a totally defensive Baron. They were going to get no gold off of this play. It is a negative Baron play for them, and with 5MA controlling their jungle, having vision, able to set up everywhere on the map that they want to right now, Sam Houston are going to have to find really a miracle to get back in this one. You know, it does feel like Styles going to have to get on top of those squishier carries. It does feel like Styles going to have to delete the Victor, going to have to delete the Lucian before the team fight even starts to have a chance. Because if you don't, it's just so difficult for them to get fights started off because, they don't have engage. This 5MA squad, they can pick fights whenever they want to. If Nars got Rage Bar, if, Volibear has ult, if Victor has ult, there is just no way to fight into this 5MA squad. Grey Shadow, he's going to get spotted out on the ward here. Not going to happen yet. He's going to turn and go the long way, so just narrowly avoids death. Does not know how close he came there. And Syrinx still splitting in that top lane. Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to go try to be thrown towards Ot6. Humble going to get rooted up. Can he survive? Escogol going to run him down, though. Is going to pick him up at the end. And it's a 1-for-1 trade in that bot lane, though, so Thatan forced to get himself out of there. They do not want to let him go if they can avoid it, but Syrinx, he's on the back line. It's Colding on top of two, and Sam Houston, they've been caught. Thatan running back in. Syrinx trying to get on top of multiple members. Not going to be able to pick up Escogol. The throw goes wide. Yes, he's going to pick up iLucky, but it is just going to be that kill. So a 2-for-2 in the end. A little bit of a misplay there for Syrinx. Just not sure who he wanted to go on. Didn't know if he wanted to try and go on the Ashe or if he wanted to turn to get Melancholy. And in the end, just decides to pick up the support. Escogol managed to get himself away from that one. iLucky managing to survive as well. But a little bit of a misplay there from Syrinx. But great response there from the FMA top laner. And yes, they do lose their support at the early part of that, but they pick up Grey Shadow in the end. And FMA just continuing to choke Sam Houston out of this game as much as they can, continuing to contest them everywhere across the board. Dragon is spawning now, so Sam Houston, they're going to have to make likely a game-deciding call here. Do they want to try and get this one? Can they even get here in time for this? This may just be dropping. Hawkshark's going to come out, but Sam Houston, they're just not here in time for this. It's going to go down. That's Dragon's soul there for FMA. Sam Houston way too late to pull the trigger on that one, and they're just going to be forced to retreat as they watch that objective go into the pockets of the Monkeys Academy squad. And now it's going to be the full court press from this FMA team. As they continue to just get vision in Sam Houston's jungle, continue to push this forward. And Sam Houston, it really just does feel like the slow bleed out to the death because they just don't, they're not in a position right now, itemization-wise or even level-wise, to contest anything that the 5 Monkeys want to do right now. And an incredible amount of improvement from this 5MA squad right now. Grey Shadow running forward to press the pillar, but just no follow-up there. Style just backing in the mid lane. Not sure what the point of trying to throw that pillar out was. Maybe you were trying to fake the engage, trying to force this 5MA squad off. And Syrinx, he's going to get two. He's on the back line. Victor right on top of him. Sam Houston, they're getting obliterated underneath their base because it's one down. Grey Shadow, he's going to fall. And the set is going to follow as well. iLucky deleted right in front of their base. Style trying to continue to do damage, though. He's going to get stunned up. Style jumping on the back line. And that's two down. Sam Houston, they may have found their moment. Syrinx, he has no Gnar bar. Sam Houston, what can they get? Escogol, he's going to fall. Maidenless, he's going to pick that up. Zera going to drop as well. Style. Sam Houston all down to the squad. Yes, it is traded. Melancholy manages to get a kill, but it's not going to matter. They're just going to continue to squat this. Ot6 takes a turret shot there. Syrinx going to continue to eat it. Is going to go Gnar and is going to escort Ot6 out of this mid lane. Would have dropped if he'd taken one more turret shot. And Syrinx, that absolutely pivotal engage on the back line there. Managed to get on top of multiple members of Sam Houston, throw them into that wall. And Thatan with that thunder there, with the ability to land the E and then ult right on top of it, landing the stuns. And on to the carries too, so not just stunning the frontline members, but making sure that they get on top of the carries. Again, just smart team fighting from this 5MA squad. The good defense in the end by the Sam Houston squad to not lose their base, but dropping 5 members there. As the pause is going to come out, we'll keep you updated as to what the pause is for. Sam Houston trying to survive in this game, just trying to buy more time for their carries. We saw a brief glimpse of it right there. Syrinx getting on top of multiple members of that Sam Houston squad, but Style, relatively speaking, left untouched in the backline. Plenty of time to do damage, plenty of time to make something happen there. So it does feel like if this Zeri can get to this late game stage, can pick up a couple more items, and start getting more time to hit onto the front line or get backline access on this 5MA squad, that maybe Sam Houston could start to win some of these fights, but it's just so difficult for them to do right now when their front line just doesn't survive for very long. When you have a 3-level lead on Syrinx right now, when you have, looks like at least a 1-level lead there for OT6, level lead in the bot lane as well. As we continue to try and find out what's going on, so we will let you guys know what the pause is for in just a moment. Alrighty, and we're out of the pause, ladies and gentlemen, and the game state, not much changed as we continue to try and watch Sam Houston fight their way back into this one. It does feel like that everything is going to rest on Styles' shoulder to get them back in this series, but this is very much 5MA's game to lose right now. They are in such a commanding position. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Sam Houston to find a winning team fight, as the pause is going to come out to make sure that the watch duration stays the same, so that will unpause in just a second, and there we go. And Baron is up now, so Sam Houston, they're going to be forced to respond to this objective. Now, the most important part of that fight, as well as it went for 5MA, and as good as it was for them to take that fight underneath the base, they didn't crack the base. So Sam Houston are not having to worry about super minions right now. They're not having to worry about these powerful waves pushing into the base that they're going to have to respond to. And right now, they do have a little bit of an inside track here into this river. A slightly better setup right now. Syrinx, watch that Gnar. That is going to be the go button for this 5MA squad. iLucky trying to clear out this ward. Pillar's going to stop Syrinx for just a moment. He's going to get stunned up, and there's just no follow-up here. iLucky is going to be the sacrificial lamb there. Crystal Arrow going to come out, but onto what? Syrinx going to get on the backline once again. It's just going to be the Trundle getting pilled up. And it's a team fight win there for 5MA. Style just trying to get out of here. It's not even close. He's not even going to be able to trade it for anything else. Maiden trying to jump forward. No response there for Sam Houston. iLucky just way too far forward to try and take that Baron. The Trundle Pillar not enough to save him. And Syrinx once again getting that Gnar hop, throwing at least one member of the Sam Houston squad into the wall. Managed to catch Shadow, bursting him down. There's no more jungle threat there, and this is likely going to be the nail in the coffin here for Sam Houston. It's 5MA. They're going to get this Baron. Elder coming up in 2 minutes, so honestly, they could just get this bot lane turret and look to trade this. Maidenless not afraid of Style at all. Is taking turret shots. Can he survive it? Yes, he does. Kills Style underneath the turret. Style not having any Style points for that one. Maidenless showing what that can do to a man when he is Maidenless, and is going to end up walking away from that one. It's going to be multiple turrets picked up there. OT6 wasting no time, breaking into Sam Houston's base right now, trying to leave it in shambles. Full court press, Syrinx in the bot lane, use the teleport to get there. That is going to be the bot lane turret going down as well, so 2 inhibitors exposed. And now this is just going to be the very slow, painful siege for 5MA. They can look to start knocking down these inhibitors and peel back to the Elder if they want to. Syrinx going to go ahead and reset there. Victor as well. Maidenless and Humble had already reset, so they're back out onto the map here. Going to start to place vision in this Sam Houston jungle. And now Sam Houston, it's just... I'm just not sure how they really get back into this one being as far down as they are right now, because this Zeri is just not having any time in this team fight to get anything done. And the Gnar is absorbing so much pressure, absorbing so much damage. And the front line there for Sam Houston just not able really to tank anything. Just between the Victor and between the Lucian is just such a mix of damage there. I mean, even the Kakari Blades getting picked there for Lucian there to make those crits hurt even more. I mean, it's the full Essence Reaver there. It's the full Maul Malmortius as well. I believe that's what it's called. Hey, it is Maul Malmortius. I got it. Maul Malmortius is going to be completed there for Lucian. Is just seeing some of these momentary pauses here. It's all right. And Syrinx, he gets into the backline 3! Oh no! Sam Houston, they get deleted in the blink of an eye! Syrinx says we will end this game right now! iLucky, he throws him forward, but he only throws himself to his death! Syrinx, the absolute madman for this 5MA squad, caught him on vision, jumped over and said, this game ends now. Melancholy flashes the emote, she's gonna die. And Maidenless gonna finish off the last of the minions, and that's it. That's the final nail in the coffin for Sam Houston. 5MA, they put an end to the undefeated run for Sam Houston, as it's just the victory march here. They're gonna knock down these turrets, they're gonna knock down the inhibitor, and 5MA, they get themselves on the board. It's Stop the undefeated Sam Houston State Esports Orange.